There's a moment in every person's life when they finally get tired. Tired of chasing people. Tired of proving their worth. Tired of shrinking themselves just to be accepted. And if you're here right now, watching this video, something inside you already knows the truth. You were never meant to chase. You were meant to attract. But attraction isn't magic. Attraction is the natural gravitational pull of a person who has built themselves so powerfully, so intentionally, so unshakably, that the world can't help but rotate around them. So before we begin, I want to speak directly to the version of you that's watching this, not your ego, not your fears, not the part of you that wants validation, but the deeper self, the Stoic self, the self that is hungry to evolve. If anything in this message resonates, even one sentence, pause this video for a moment. Hit like, subscribe, and drop the number 77 in the comments to send a signal into the universe that you're done chasing and ready to rise. And then, when you're ready, press play again. Let this video run on repeat, even while you sleep, even in the background. Because the energy of this message will reshape the way you see yourself, the way you move through the world, and the way others respond to you. This is not motivation. This is transformation. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The world treats you how you treat you. Before you ever speak a word, before you ever ask for respect, before you ever try to win someone over, the world has already made a decision about you. Not based on your appearance, not based on your accomplishments, but based on the relationship you have with yourself. Most people don't realize this. They think people reject them because they're not attractive enough, not charismatic enough, not successful enough. But the truth is simpler. People don't chase you because you don't chase you. You pursue others with more commitment than you pursue your own potential. And humans are wired in a very predictable way. We value what is valuable. We respect what is respected. We chase what is rare. But when you place others above yourself, you instantly declare one thing: I am not the prize. Think about the last time you obsessively pursued someone, attention, affection, validation. Think about how it felt. Your energy was scattered. Your self-worth was outsourced. Your value depended on their reaction. And here's the Stoic reality you probably never heard in this exact way. Chasing kills attraction because chasing signals self-abandonment. Nothing repels the world more than a person who has abandoned themselves. People don't follow someone who is needy. People don't admire someone who is insecure. People don't respect someone who can't even respect their own time, their own boundaries, their own mission. But here is the beautiful, powerful, almost unbelievable truth. The moment you stop chasing people and redirect that energy inward, the universe reconfigures itself around you. It's not spiritual fluff. It's not psychology jargon. It's basic human magnetism. When you stop chasing, your value skyrockets. Your presence strengthens. Your silence becomes louder. Your boundaries become attractive. Your absence becomes meaningful. Your energy becomes rare. You see, the world is filled with people who are desperate, clingy, fearful, needy. Most people are running around trying to win external approval because they feel empty inside. But Stoics, people who build themselves, people who choose internal mastery over external validation, they move differently. They speak differently. They walk differently. They react differently. They live differently. And the world feels that difference. A Stoic man or woman who focuses on building themselves becomes intimidating to the insecure and irresistible to the evolved. Why? Because confidence isn't loud. Confidence is stillness. It's the calm aura of someone who isn't afraid to lose anyone because they refuse to lose themselves. The truth is, the world can sense when you are centered, grounded, aligned. Your energy becomes stable. Your decisions become sharper. Your emotional reactions become cleaner. Your standards rise without effort. And when people see that you are not impressed by them, not dependent on them, not seeking from them what you should be giving yourself, something fascinating happens. They begin to chase. Not because you manipulated them. Not because you played games. Not because you pretended not to care. No. They chase because your energy declares, I am whole. I am focused. I am self-led. And if you want access to me, you must rise to my level. This is the core of Stoicism. Become so disciplined, so intentional, so self-respecting that no one else's behavior can shake you. Imagine waking up tomorrow no longer thinking, why aren't they texting me? Why don't they choose me? Why did they pull away? But instead thinking, how do I build myself today in a way that future me will thank me for? How do I elevate my mind, my body, my spirit? How do I become a person whose presence is impossible to ignore? Because when you shift your inner focus, the outer world follows. Always. Without exception. People chase clarity. People chase strength. People chase stability. People chase rarity. People chase energy that doesn't need them. And that is exactly what you become when you stop chasing people and start building yourself. This chapter ends with one simple Stoic reminder. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. If you want people to chase you, build a version of yourself worth chasing. Chapter 2, the shift from needing attention to commanding presence. There comes a moment in every person's life when they confront a truth they've been avoiding. Most of the chasing they once did wasn't because the other person was extraordinary, but because they themselves felt incomplete. It wasn't love, it was a craving. It wasn't connection, it was a void. They weren't drawn to the person, they were drawn to the idea of being chosen. Underneath every pursuit was a quiet emptiness, an emptiness of self-worth, of identity, of direction, of inner structure. When you have not yet built your inner world, you reach outward instead of inward. You try to borrow purpose from another person. You use their attention as a bandage over wounds you never healed. You cling instead of create. You chase instead of choose. You give your energy away hoping it will fill the spaces inside you that you haven't dared to face yet. But this chapter begins at the turning point, the moment in life when you finally wake up and feel something shifting. The moment you look at your old patterns and whisper, enough. You stop gripping onto people who barely hold onto you. You stop apologizing for wanting to be valued. You stop shrinking yourself to earn minimum affection. It's the moment you stop trying to convince someone you deserve a place in their world, and instead begin building yourself until your presence becomes impossible to ignore. You stop begging for permission to matter and start becoming someone whose energy naturally commands attention without you asking for it. Because here's the truth people rarely speak aloud. People can feel it when you need them. They can feel the insecurity behind your smile, the fear inside your silence, the anxiety hidden behind every quick response or over-explained message. That energy repels. Not because you are unworthy, but because you're trying too hard to be enough. People also sense when you don't need them. When you are stable within yourself. When you want connection but do not depend on it. That energy attracts effortlessly. Not because you're playing games, but because you have finally replaced attachment with vision, desperation with direction, emotional hunger with inner abundance. A person with a mission doesn't chase noise. A person with clarity doesn't beg for attention. A person grounded in purpose doesn't lose sleep over someone who can't recognize their value. Why? Because they're too busy becoming the kind of individual strangers can feel before they even speak. When someone looks at you and senses the steadiness in your eyes, the deliberate calm in your movements, the quiet but unshakable energy in your presence, something inside them shifts. They can feel that you are not operating from lack. You are operating from fullness. And fullness is magnetic. This is when the world begins to rearrange around you. The same people who overlooked you begin to double-take. The ones who dismissed you begin to wonder. The ones you used to chase now take a step closer, curious, drawn in by a presence they can't quite explain. This is the origin of commanding presence, the presence that doesn't shout, doesn't perform, doesn't posture. It simply exists with such authenticity that people have no choice but to respect it. Presence is not created by performance. It is created by alignment. When your actions match your values, people trust you. When your habits match your goals, people admire you. When your words match your character, people gravitate toward you. Because in a world full of noise, authenticity is rare. And rare things attract without effort. You become a lighthouse in a storm, still, grounded, serene, impossible to ignore. You radiate instead of reach. You lead without trying. You attract without pulling. And without even meaning to, you become the person others rearrange themselves to be near. True attraction is never forced. It never requires chasing. It never demands sacrificing your dignity. It emerges naturally when you become someone worth noticing, someone whose worth isn't dependent on attention, someone who doesn't need validation to feel alive, someone who doesn't crumble when ignored. The day you stop needing attention is the day you begin commanding presence. And that shift changes everything. Chapter 3: The Power of Self-Investment That Makes People Rethink Their Distance. When someone pulls away from you, the old version of you starts panicking. The mind begins its spiral. Go after them. Fix it. Explain yourself. Try harder. Prove your worth. Don't let them leave. That frantic inner voice comes from fear, fear of being alone, fear of being forgotten, fear of not being enough. But a Stoic mind learns something more mature, more grounded, more powerful. Distance is data. If someone withdraws, it is not an emergency. It is information. It reveals their priorities, not your flaws. It reflects their emotional capacity, not your value. It shows whether they see your worth or whether they are blind to it. Instead of chasing closure, chasing clarity, or chasing attention, the upgraded version of you does something unexpected. You turn inward. You redirect your energy from outward desperation to inward evolution. And that shift becomes the beginning of one of the most transformative journeys of your life, the journey of building yourself until losing you becomes the kind of mistake people feel years later. Self-investment is not revenge. It is rebirth. You don't improve to punish anyone. You improve because life is too short to stay small for someone who doesn't recognize your greatness. When you sharpen your mind, you begin thinking differently. When you strengthen your body, you begin moving differently. When you heal your spirit, you begin speaking differently. When you develop discipline, you begin living differently. People who once dismissed you start seeing a version of you they never expected. Someone who grew instead of broke. Someone who rose instead of begged. Someone who used silence as a workshop and pain as fuel. Self-investment makes you unpredictable, not because you are inconsistent, but because you evolve so consistently that people who walked away return to find someone they barely recognize. Every hour spent chasing someone is an hour stolen from your destiny. You are pouring energy into a person who may not even value your presence. But every hour invested in yourself multiplies. Self-investment compounds. It grows in layers, in depth, in results. Every time you choose self-improvement over self-pity, your inner world expands. Your confidence grows, not the loud kind, but the quiet, unshakable kind. Your standards rise, you begin expecting more from yourself and naturally expecting more from others. Your opportunities expand, a life opens doors for people who walk with intention. Your energy shifts, people feel your new frequency even before they understand it. Your aura changes, you no longer feel like someone searching, you feel like someone becoming. People sense that. They don't need explanations. They feel the difference in your presence, your posture, your tone, your choices. When you improve your body, your posture straightens, your movements become more deliberate, and you look like someone who respects themselves. When you improve your mind, your ideas become magnetic, your conversations deepen, and people feel elevated simply by being around you. When you improve your emotional strength, your presence becomes calming, you stop reacting to everything, and people instinctively trust your stability. When you improve your discipline, your entire life starts to look like something worth being a part of. Nobody ignores someone who is rising. They might pretend for a while, but eventually, the contrast becomes too large to hide. People notice what is undeniable, and self-investment makes you undeniable. The person who once overlooked you starts questioning themselves. The one who walked away begins to wonder. You become the one whose presence feels like a privilege because it is. You stop being an option. You become an opportunity. And the difference is monumental. When you walk away with grounding, calmness, and self-respect, not anger, not bitterness, not drama, people feel the shift on a deeper level. They don't experience your departure as punishment, they experience it as a consequence. They don't feel attacked, they feel replaced not by another person, but by your purpose, your growth, your calling. And that creates a magnetic tension they cannot ignore. The kind of tension that lingers in their thoughts at night. The kind that makes them replay moments they once took for granted. The kind that makes them question why they let someone like you slip away. Walking away is not easy. It requires emotional maturity. It requires discipline. It requires the courage to trust that honoring your worth will bring better people, deeper connections, and healthier dynamics. But remember this. Waiting for someone who doesn't see your value is hard too. One path drains you slowly, painfully, silently. The other path transforms you. And in every moment of your life, you are standing between two doors, the door of self-abandonment or the door of self-respect. Only one of them leads to the future you truly deserve. Choose the path of transformation. Choose the path where you walk away with your head high, heart steady, and purpose intact. Choose the path where you no longer chase, because you finally understand that your presence is worth being pursued. Chapter 5. Building a life that makes people want to stay, not leave. Chasing someone creates pressure. But building yourself creates gravity. There's a fundamental difference. Pressure pushes people away, while gravity pulls them in. Pressure is noisy, anxious, desperate. Gravity is calm, steady, and undeniable. You never see the sun chasing planets, yet everything orbits around it because of its mass, its energy, its unwavering presence. That is the kind of force you create when you build yourself instead of chasing someone else's attention. When you construct a life filled with purpose, discipline, adventure, and direction, you generate a gravitational field around you. People feel drawn not just to your presence, but to your momentum. They are attracted to your authenticity, your consistent growth, your inner peace, and the clarity of your ambition. Nobody wants to leave a life that feels alive. Nobody walks away from someone who makes them feel elevated, inspired, and expansive. People stay where they feel aligned, not where they feel chased. And here's a truth that few dare to admit: you don't need to convince anyone of your worth when you are actively becoming someone worthwhile. You don't need to explain, perform, or over-explain. Your life itself becomes proof. Your habits, your choices, your daily disciplines, and the trajectory of your actions all silently declare your value. Those who are meant to be in your life naturally gravitate toward it. Those who cannot align with it gradually fade away, making space for the right people and opportunities to enter. The stronger your character becomes, the more magnetic your life grows. The clearer your standards, the more deeply people respect you. The more consistently you invest in yourself, the more your energy naturally attracts the kind of people and experiences that elevate rather than drain you. Life becomes a mirror of your inner alignment. Those who attempt to diminish your energy will find themselves distanced. Those who resonate with it will be drawn close. A person who is committed to building something meaningful becomes inherently magnetic. Someone who is leveling up is exciting without trying. Someone who honors their mission is unforgettable without needing validation. When you dedicate your days to becoming the best version of yourself, you stop wasting time worrying about who is coming or going. You realize that the right people don't drift aimlessly, they anchor themselves naturally in the life you are creating. The goal is never to impress people. That is fleeting, superficial, and exhausting. The goal is to evolve so deeply, so intentionally, that the right people notice without effort. You no longer need to seek approval, attract attention, or chase validation. Your growth becomes your signal. Your life becomes your calling card. Others are compelled to match your energy, not because you demand it, but because they feel the undeniable pull of your alignment. Build a life so fulfilling that anyone who leaves regrets it, not out of ego, but because they have walked away from something truly rare. Build a life so robust, so full of energy, clarity, and purpose that people don't want to lose access to it. Build a life where your peace is sacred, your presence is grounding, your growth is inspiring, and your direction is unmistakable. Build a life where your energy alone communicates your worth. Create a life where you don't need to ask anyone to stay because they never want to leave. Create a life where the orbit is set by your own gravity and everyone who matters naturally revolves around it. This is the power of building yourself. You stop chasing. You stop pleading. You stop compromising. And in that space of quiet strength, people are drawn to you effortlessly, not by pressure, not by noise, but by the undeniable force of your presence. Chapter 6: The Calm Power of Emotional Non-Attachment. Chasing comes from attachment. Attachment comes from fear. Fear comes from a lack of self-trust. Most people do not realize that the endless loop of pursuing others, worrying about their responses, or overanalyzing every word stems from a fragile inner foundation. When you tie your happiness to someone else's presence, attention, or approval, you are essentially giving away your power. The Stoic path offers a different way. It teaches you to let go of emotional dependency and replace it with emotional mastery. It shows that your feelings are not dictated by someone else's choices, words, or behaviors. Instead, you learn to observe, understand, and respond from a place of clarity rather than instinctive reaction. You stop reacting to people's moods, their unpredictability, or their absence. You start observing it, collecting information, and letting it pass through without contaminating your inner state. You stop taking everything personally. You begin to understand that people's actions reveal their priorities, not your worth. You stop trying to control their perception of you because you anchor your self-esteem in your own practice, your values, your discipline, and the structure of your inner world. Your identity becomes unshakable, and your energy no longer bends to the whims of external circumstances. Non-attachment does not mean indifference. It does not mean coldness or withdrawal. It means clarity. It means stability. It means choosing your peace over someone else's inconsistency. It means valuing your energy more than temporary validation. It means understanding that what is truly yours will never require you to compromise your integrity or chase it desperately. People often underestimate how magnetic emotional stability can be. In a world full of chaos, drama, and insecurity, calmness stands out. When you stay grounded in uncertainty, composed in conflict, and centered in chaos, people feel it instinctively. Your calmness becomes a signal of strength. They are drawn to it, not because you are manipulating them or playing hard to get, but because they sense something rare, someone who is hard to shake, impossible to destabilize, and entirely unbothered by superficial turbulence. Emotional non-attachment frees you from the compulsion to chase. It allows you to understand something sacred. Nothing that is truly meant for you requires you to abandon yourself to hold it. Love, respect, connection, and opportunity naturally flow toward those who maintain their core, not toward those who bend, beg, or compromise. When you embrace non-attachment, your aura becomes heavier. Your presence becomes stronger. Your silence becomes sharper. You no longer fill the empty spaces with desperation or over-explanation. Instead, you radiate a quiet certainty that commands respect without effort. People feel the shift immediately. They instinctively know that you will not cling, that you will not settle, that you will not bend to fit their inconsistency. That energy is magnetic. That energy reshapes interactions. That energy draws the right people in and repels those who cannot match your frequency. Non-attachment is the art of emotional sovereignty. It is the discipline of understanding your own value while refusing to barter it for temporary satisfaction. It is the deep, serene knowledge that you are enough in yourself, that your time is precious, and that your peace is non-negotiable. When you embody this energy consistently, people are naturally compelled to rise to meet it. They feel called to show up fully because they intuitively understand that partial effort, games, or manipulation cannot succeed against someone who is fully anchored in themselves. The calm power of emotional non-attachment transforms your relationships, your career, your presence, and your inner life. You become someone who attracts without seeking, who holds without clinging, and who commands respect without demanding it. And the world, in its subtle but unmistakable way, adjusts around this new frequency. In essence, emotional non-attachment is the ultimate liberation. You no longer chase, no longer beg, no longer try to force connection or validation. Instead, you cultivate an inner life so rich, stable, and magnetic that people are drawn to you naturally, respectfully, and sustainably. This is the quiet, commanding power of someone who is emotionally sovereign, and it is the ultimate mastery over the chaos of desire, dependency, and attachment. Chapter 7. When you become the prize, the world rearranges around you. There comes a moment in your self-growth journey when everything changes, a moment when clarity hits so sharply that your old patterns of chasing, pleading, and overextending yourself feel foreign, almost unreal. It is the moment when you stop asking, "Why don't they want me?" and start asking instead, "Why did I ever want someone who couldn't see me?" That shift in perspective is not just mental. It is energetic. It is the quiet realignment of your worth with the universe itself. It is the moment your inner world and outer reality finally synchronize. It is the moment you move from seeking to selecting, from chasing to attracting, from hoping to embodying. At this stage, you no longer look outward for validation. You no longer bend, compromise, or diminish yourself to fit someone else's limited vision. Your energy, your presence, and your life become the standard. People around you begin to sense it, a magnetic force they cannot control, a signal that you will no longer settle, that you will no longer allow mediocrity into your orbit. Your life starts operating on a higher frequency, one that naturally aligns with quality, depth, and authenticity. When you treat yourself like the prize, the world responds in kind. The ones who once ignored you now start paying attention. The ones who underestimated your worth begin observing carefully, quietly recalibrating their perception. Those who previously took your presence for granted feel subtle tension because your energy no longer accommodates less than excellence. You are no longer accessible as a default. Your value is now unmistakable, undeniable, and radiantly visible to those who can recognize it. You don't need to demand respect. You radiate it naturally, simply by how you carry yourself. You don't need to chase loyalty. You embody it in every decision, every interaction, every boundary you maintain. You don't need to beg for connection. Your presence generated effortlessly, drawing people toward you without force or pretense. People chase what is rare. They chase what is disciplined. They chase what is rising. They chase what cannot be replaced or replicated. And that person, that force, that energy becomes you. At this point, you understand something few ever grasp. The universe mirrors your internal alignment. The moment you stop giving your energy away to those who cannot see it and instead pour it into yourself, your life begins to shift in profound ways. The people who enter your life now are not random, they are in resonance with your frequency. Connections deepen. Relationships strengthen. Respect becomes instinctive. Your environment transforms into a mirror reflecting the energy you have cultivated, amplified by your presence. This transformation is not manipulation. It is not strategy. It is authenticity amplified to its maximum. You do not need to convince anyone of your worth. You do not need to perform, explain, or justify. By building yourself, aligning your values, mastering your presence, and living deliberately, you simply become the person the world cannot afford to ignore. Your rise causes others to re-examine themselves. Those who doubted you once feel the absence of control they had over your energy. Those who failed to appreciate you experience subtle tension because they see the gap between who you were and who you have become, a version they cannot easily influence, sway, or replace. That is power rooted in alignment, discipline, and self-respect. That is the quiet dominance of someone who knows their own worth. The universe itself begins rearranging around you. Opportunities appear that previously seemed distant. People whose presence aligns with your energy find their way to you. Doors open without effort. Situations unfold in perfect timing, matching the frequency you now carry. Not because you chased them, but because you became undeniable, immovable, and magnetic in your own right. This is the ultimate truth. When you stop chasing, the world chases you. When you stop shrinking, the world expands toward you. When you stop hoping for recognition, it arrives naturally. You have become the version of yourself that others cannot afford to lose. The prize is no longer external, it is you. And the moment you fully embody that, everything else, respect, loyalty, attention, opportunity, alignment, naturally follows. You are no longer reactive. You are magnetic. You are rare. You are the energy that sets the standard. And in that energy, the universe finally, unmistakably rearranges to match your presence. You've heard the message. You felt the shift. Your only job now is simple: stop chasing and start becoming. When you build yourself, the right people will always find their way to you. If this resonated, pause for one moment, like, subscribe, and comment 77 to send your signal to the universe. Replay this video to anchor the mindset deeper. Your rise begins now. Thank you for watching. If this episode spoke to you, hit like, subscribe, and comment 77 below to align with this energy. Replay this video whenever you need to reconnect with your power. Until the next episode, stay disciplined, stay grounded, and stay becoming the person they can't ignore.